starting off, obviously it was a great team win and one of the best atmospheres that I've been a part of. I've been here since my freshman year, 1999, so it's been a few years, but credit our fans, unbelievable atmosphere, and in those conditions, it's we told our players going into that game, this is going to be one of those games where you look back and say you remember when, and you remember when we played Notre Dame and the storm and all the different conditions and just what Death Valley was all about. So it was definitely a great night. Loved the way we started off offensively. Something we talked about a good bit, coming out fast. In the first drive, I felt like just got off to a really good start, converted 2 key third downs to get that first touchdown in there. And I thought that was it just kind of energized the crowd and the team. And then to come back the second drive, 4-play touchdown, and really get us a head start in a game that we knew was going to be a tough game. And then also with those conditions, I think it was key to get a good head start. Really proud about the offensive line. I mean, I think it's been well documented that when you play a game like that game where it's on a national stage, obviously there's a lot of commentary all over the country, and the one unanimous opinion by everybody was if Notre Dame was going to win it, it was probably because Clemson was not going to be able to run the ball with their offensive line versus Notre Dame's defensive line, who's very talented. And so we really challenged our guys about that. And obviously Notre Dame has a very talented offensive line, very talented running back, and our guys heard about them all week long. And our big challenge to those guys is let's be sure after the game that they're talking about our offensive line and our running back. And very similar to before Louisville with the defensive front that Louisville had. We really challenged our guys, and they did well there. But, 212 yards rushing. I think we went back and one of the plays that were in question, I think, ended up being a rushing yard. So 212 yards rushing versus that front seven is incredible. And not only running the ball, but running the ball when the opposing team knows you're running the ball. Obviously, in those conditions with the all of the rain and the wind and everything, it wasn't a secret that we were going to be running the ball a good bit. They had 7-8 guys in the box, and our offensive line, tight ends, and running backs deserve a lot of credit. Also, second game in a row with no sacks, and that was a big focus for us in the offseason, is really protecting the quarterback and reducing the number of negative plays, and so I thought that was key. And also mention Jay Guillermo again. That's a concern anytime you go into a game like that, playing in those type of conditions. We talk about there's 3 people on every play that are going to touch the ball. It starts with the center. He's got to get us a good snap to the quarterback. The quarterback's got to be able to catch it and then do what he does and get it to the running back, receiver, tight end. But we had 0 problems with the snap, so give Jay a lot of credit there. Wayne Gallman just keeps getting better and better. Second game in a row with over 100 yards and against 2 very quality opponents. And it's good to see that. I thought Deshaun made a huge difference running the football. I think that was a key to the game, was the quarterback run. And Deshaun did a great job. Those guys up front did a good job opening up those holes. I thought overall offensively we did a really good job of protecting the ball. And in those type of conditions, that was one of the biggest things that we focused on is protecting the football. There's going to be a lot of different guys that touch the football, and I felt like we obviously won the turnover margin, and our guys did a good job protecting the ball. Probably the biggest disappointment offensively is we had 3 opportunities during the game, especially in the second half, really to kind of put that last nail in the coffin and put the game away, and we just didn't capitalize on either of those situations. The first was the drop touchdown in the end zone, which I believe would have made it 28-3, and probably had a lot different finish to the game there. The next one, I believe we had the ball about the 33-yard line and threw an interception in the end zone, and that was on Sharon. He understands that. We talk all the time that we're going to be aggressive and take our shots down the field, and when we do that in a one-on-one situation, the one thing we have to do as a wide receiver is protect the quarterback and be sure the ball's never intercepted, and we just got to knock that down, and that's something that we'll all learn from. And then the third situation, later in the fourth quarter, we got the ball at the plus 35, and came away with no points. And really, I think we had, before the missed field goal, we had a 3rd and 2 opportunity, and just didn't convert right there. But if we would have capitalized on any one of those 3 situations, I think we would have had a lot more room, and it wouldn't have been nearly as close as it was at the end. Obviously, going into the week, at the beginning of the week and throughout the week, we had a really good plan to throw the football. As the week went, you started seeing the weather reports. We started obviously putting more focus in the running game, because we understood that we weren't going to be able to make a living throwing the ball in those conditions. And then I think the way that the game went, each game's a little unique, and we've just kind of the last 2 games, it's just really been the way that the game has gone. But we get in that game, you're up 2 scores right out the gate. It's raining, it's wet, windy. You got drops, and there's balls popping off people's pads, a lot of things that are unpredictable. And then our defense was playing really well, all the way up until maybe those last few drives in the fourth quarter. Our defense was playing really well, and we're at home. I felt like, we were calling plays to win the game, and we felt like to win the game we needed to run the football, and we were having success doing that. So I think our staff was unanimous in our plan. Really, the biggest thing is we needed to execute the plays that we called a little bit better, and the times that we did decide to throw the ball, we need a little bit better execution. But I think we've all been around here for the last 4 years. One thing that we've never been concerned about is throwing the football. Our quarterbacks and wide receivers go against one of the top secondaries every day in practice, and we compete really well and have a lot of success. So I don't think there's any cause of concern or worry among our group. To be honest, I look at it as a positive, because we've been able to win 2 big games by running the football. And I think over the last 4 years, that's one thing we've always wanted to maybe do a little bit better. We've had a lot of explosive plays in the passing game, but we've always wanted to maybe run the ball a little bit better. So I think it's really good for us, to be honest, to be able to have to count on those guys up front and the backs. And I think as the season goes and we start getting into some normal games here, it's going to make us only that much better as we start throwing the football. But I think looking ahead at Georgia Tech, they got a lot of guys back, a lot of experience. Their entire secondary, I believe they got 4 seniors in the secondary and maybe 9 starters back on defense, and 9 of the 11 are either juniors or seniors. So they played a lot of ball. It's a rivalry game. They play us well every year, and we did not perform very well last year in Atlanta. And so I don't think we'll have to talk our guys into this one. They'll be ready to go Saturday. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Do you kind of look at this like we're 4-0 and we haven't even come close to playing our best yet?
Yeah, I do. And that's typical of a season that you get better. And then also looking at our schedule, with the first 2 games that we had, and then playing Louisville on a Thursday night, and then you're off 16 days, and then you play, Notre Dame in a hurricane rain. It's not a typical, maybe the beginning of a season like some of the other ones. But, I think we're very pleased. Going into the season, the concern a lot of people had, you're going to have 4 or 5 new offensive linemen, and, how are you going to run the football, how are you going to protect your quarterback, and all those type of things. And, I think we feel very secure in the playmakers we have, and obviously with our quarterback. And so to me, I think it's, we're going to need to lean back at some point, throughout the season when we do have to run the ball in some tough situations. And I think our offensive line, running back, and tight ends are going to be able to look back at these last 2 games and have a lot of confidence that we can do that. And then, as we get going with the passing game, I think it'll make us obviously that much more dynamic. But we're definitely nowhere near a final product whatsoever. And we got a lot of good things in the game plan that we haven't shown yet, and the opportunity hasn't arisen for that. But I think we're getting ready to get on a stretch where we're going to need both the passing game and a running game, obviously, to be successful and continue to win.
With that said, the season now goes to 8 weeks in a row. And you mentioned at the beginning of
be able to get the guys in their quote-unquote groove? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, and I don't feel like our guys were not in a groove. I just think it's just kind of interesting. Each game's been a little bit different, and the schedule is a little bit different. But I know there was some concern also, being off for a 15-day layoff and then go out there. That's why we felt like it was really important to get off to a fast start. And we spent a lot of time as a staff and an offense really scripting those, the first 10 or 12 plays to have success and to be able to get out there and have a chance to get up early. But yes, you get into a routine now where everybody knows what's expected each week. And and we got a lot of schedule, left. Our guys know, hey, it was a great win, but at the end of the day, you're 4-0. That it doesn't mean a whole lot if you don't take care of business here these next 8 weeks. So I think the guys are excited to get on a regular routine and kick it off this Saturday.
Deion was out there for the first play, the call around Deshaun. Is that just because he's getting better at blocking?
Well, I think the package that we decided the play that we decided to run first play, he happened to be in on that play. But I will say that Deion has been a guy in practice that has improved a lot, and we had a lot more in the game plan for him Saturday that we weren't able to get to, just the way that the game went. But Deion and Trevion have done a good job of getting better each week, and Ray McLeod's a guy that continues to get better. And so we feel like we've got plenty of depth there, and it's good to see those young guys develop, and hopefully they'll get some opportunities to go out and make some plays and be able to help their team.
In terms of both play calling and performance, it's been a struggle to close out fourth quarters for Louisville and Notre Dame. Is that a concern, just both in terms of coaching decisions and the players?
Well, I think the biggest concern, the way we look at it, offensively, is when did we have opportunities to put the game away? And that's what we go back and look at. And there were some opportunities, late in the third quarter and then obviously in the fourth quarter where we could put the game away and there would be no more. We wouldn't have had any of the deals we had to deal with there at the very end. And really what that comes down to is executing. Like I said, on that one drive at the plus 35 that we ended up having to kick a field goal and missed a field goal, on 3rd and 2, we had a call and we didn't execute it. And so if we can get that first down and go down and get points, whether it's 7 or 3, it changes the entire game. But, I think, to be honest, we try to look at it as a positive. There were many years where we were in those situations at Clemson and we didn't finish those games out. And now we've been in 2 tough situations against 2 good teams. I think as Louisville continues to play, I think that win at Louisville is going to be looked upon as a really good win. And, at Louisville, and then to come back here at home against a very good team as they start trying to get the momentum back, I think that's something that we can build from that, and then also learn from that, hey, we don't want to get in a situation where we're having to do this every week. So how do we do that? Do we go back? What are the things we can improve on? But you do that each week. But overall, I think it speaks to the entire team to be able to be able to go out and execute. We knew. We were telling our guys on the sideline even whenever we got up, this thing's not over. We're going to get their best shot as it goes, and we need to stay focused and keep executing. And luckily, we made enough plays there at the end.
How much did Deshaun impact that game beyond distance?
Yeah, well, I think number one in that situation with the conditions that you were dealing with. I mean, that's as a coach. That's the scheme and all that stuff. You practice a lot of that, and obviously you can do some wet ball, but there's no way that you can truly emulate the conditions. We haven't had a rainstorm like that to even practice in, and obviously we've got a nice indoor facility, so we've been inside a good bit during the rain. I think not only protecting the ball, but also leading that whole offense out there on the field against a very talented group. I felt like he did a great job, leading them overall. And then I think, using his legs, understanding when to run, understanding when to take chances, understanding when to get out of bounds, and making smart decisions. Some of his best plays are plays whenever we were covered and he threw the ball away, rather than trying to force something in there or try to take off and run or something like that. I felt like he did a really good job, and that's part of having no sacks also as a quarterback that knows where to go with the ball, when to get rid of it. But I think Deshaun did a really good job Saturday night with what we asked him to do, and we had 5 drops as well. You can maybe if you were sitting out in California looking at the box score and reading the line, it might not look like you want it to look, but I think anybody that was here in the stadium or watched the game on TV, was able to see the elements that we were in, and then we had some guys that could finish some catches, and it would have helped a lot of our passing game and our numbers and those type of things. But we think Deshaun's right on schedule, and just like we told him before the game, there's not another quarterback in the country that I'd rather be going out getting ready to play this game than Deshaun Watson, and I think he's proven that.
On Ray's drop on the sweep, that one is an incomplete pass, obviously, but he didn't make a lot of mistakes in camp. What do you attribute that to? Was it the wetness? Or was
I think as a young player especially, he got excited. His eyes got downfield. He was already trying to think ahead about where he was going to go with the ball. And something we always talk about is, human nature. Human nature is to kind of take that catch for granted because it's just a short flip and to turn your eyes. But we really talk about that, and then especially the option pitches. Sometimes we get down the goal line and we pitch an option out to that wide out. We really tell them, hey, secure the pitch with your eyes. Don't turn your eyes upfield. And that's really what he did there. And luckily for him and for us, he was able to learn that lesson on a forward pitch rather than a backwards pitch. But that happens. He'll learn from that and get better with that. But it was a good learning experience for him, and it was a good reason for us to pitch those instead of hand those off too.
Jeff, any concern at all that you do have a lot of young guys on offense? Any concern that with a big win like this that they don't lock into the rest of the season and say, we've got a lot of playing to do?
Well, I think Coach Sweeney did a really good job before the Notre Dame game of preparing them for that. And, because he was telling them all week long, hey, this is going to be a big moment, but it's only going to be a moment. And at the end of the day, we're going to be back in here on Monday, and we're going to be either 4-0 or 3-1. And it's really not going to mean a whole lot as far as the whole season. So I think by preparing them before that, and then also I think the teams that we have left on our schedule, all of our guys except obviously the true freshmen, they were down there in Atlanta last year, and they went through that, and I think they know that we've got to play well against this team, regardless of what the records are and all that going into the game. It's always been a tough game for us, but I think Coach Sweeney does a good job of reminding our guys, and it's it's a one-game season, and just every game after every game, win or lose, Coach Sweeney tells the guys, hey, enjoy the game tonight, and the season starts tomorrow. And let's try to do everything we can to be 5-0. And I think our guys have really, it's one thing to say that and kind of throw that out, but it's another thing when they take ownership in that. And, I believe that they have. Obviously, we'll see as the season goes. And, and we've reminded our guys, too. I think it was maybe 2011, started off 8-0. And, so we bring those back up to some of the guys that weren't here, kind of remind them of those opportunities. But, we've got a good schedule left in front of us, and we're going to have to play well on in all phases to have a chance to win those games, and so it's definitely something that we'll continue to talk about each week. But that's where you hope, even though they're young, you hope some of the maturity of those guys really in their focus and in their approach, and maybe learning lessons from the past would help.
Going back to Georgia Tech, when you're watching film on them and preparing the game plan, any particular players on that defense step out to you?
Well, to me, what I've watched, and especially early, I feel like their secondary is their strength. They got a lot of guys returning. All 4 of the guys are returning back there. Really good players, very physical in the running game, coming up tackling, and really good cover guys. They had several interceptions against us last year. And so I think that's a strength. And then, they've got a couple backers that make some good plays. They can run, or physical guys, and got a couple guys up front that can rush. But, overall, we've got to study our opponent to figure out schematically, what's going to work that week and what our approach is. And our players obviously have to watch the opponent to be able to see what they're going to do defensively and look at tendencies and how guys play. But, our big message, Coach Sweeney's been very consistent on, is it's about us. It's about our execution. All right, let's get our game plan down, and then let's go out and execute. And I think that's something our guys have really bought into. But they're definitely a talented group. And, I think 9 of the 11 that played us last year and shut us down a good bit last year will be right back here this year. So they'll have a lot of confidence coming in, and that'll be something good for our players, have a little chip on their shoulder to play better against these guys this year.
You talk about studying film and learning tendencies. How much of a benefit is it to have just played 2 teams that played each other a couple of weeks ago? Is that particularly helpful?
To be honest, not really, because they're now I will say, Notre Dame, I don't think it really helps that, we're playing people that common opponents, but I think sometimes the people that do play them before you play them, what they're doing offensively, and Notre Dame does a lot of good things, and then also North Carolina, very similar in a lot of areas to some of the concepts and running game stuff that we do. So being able to see how they play that, is a benefit. But other than that, I don't think anything different than normal.
From a running game standpoint, is it just that Wayne's running so well that some of the other guys just don't have a chance to get carries right now?
Yeah, and that's something we want to get those other guys in there. They deserve to get some opportunities and have practiced really hard. I don't think it's as much about our concerns with the other guys on the sidelines as it is Wayne's got a hot hand. It's the same way with Artavis. Ray, he needs to get out there and play. Man, he's got a hot hand, and you just want to keep in that kind of game, while you just want to keep feeding them. But there's going to be plenty of opportunities, this week and as we continue to go to be able to develop some depth and get some other guys some opportunities, to play. And really each game's different, and you really never know till you get in there how it goes. But, we feel very comfortable with those other guys in that running back room, and we're going to need them as the year goes, because Wayne's not going to be able to take all the carries, and Deshaun's not going to be able to, rush for 100 yards every game. So we're going to have to, use some of those guys and develop depth as we go. Yeah, I think that's been a big improvement. 2 things. Number one, he's gotten bigger physically, and he's able to put himself in. And I think, understanding it. Obviously, the offense that he played in high school was a little bit different than the offense that we're playing here. So everything was a little new to him from a pass protection standpoint. Obviously, very beneficial to have Tony in the room, because Tony understands all of it and, is doing a great job of teaching those guys and having them trained up. But also, I think something that was some big plays this week in the running game with Deshaun running the ball was Wayne out there lead blocking on a few of those plays. And I think he's really improved and really kind of knocked a hole in it a couple times and helped Deshaun out. And so, we always talk about becoming a complete player. And so I think Wayne's blocking has definitely been a big part of him improving to become a complete player and continuing. He's not, obviously, he'd tell you he's not there yet. He's got some things he still needs to work on and improve. But, I just like seeing him getting better and better each week. Yeah, it's good. I was sitting back, I guess it was about 3 weeks ago, getting ready to go to Louisville on a Thursday night, knowing the next week I was getting ready to have a baby, and then the next week after that, getting ready to play Notre Dame. And so I knew it was going to be a fast 3 weeks, but yeah, it's been great. Had a daughter, Savannah, born 2 Thursdays ago, and she was actually due on October 3rd, the day of the Notre Dame game. So I don't know if I could have taken that with all the rain and everything we had already. That would have been a lot. So, but she's doing great, and my wife's doing great. It's at home as well.
How life-changing is that to now have that responsibility in addition to being a coach?
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it's been good for me to kind of lean on Tony a little bit because he's gone through it with last year or so with his son AJ, and but it's been a lot of fun to get home. Usually I'd get home late and try to take a shower and go to bed as quick as I can, and then get up as early as I can, get to the office. And now I stay up about 30 minutes longer and get up about 30 minutes earlier just so I can spend some time with her. The big event last night was we gave her her first official bath. And so when I got home at about 11:30, we had a nice little moment right there. But it's definitely life-changing. And but I'm also blessed to be at a place and to work for a man that really respects your family and has a very family-friendly environment. And all of our staff and players, that was a neat thing the day that she was born. I got a lot of text message from our current players and then former players, Sammy and Nuke and Martavis. All those guys heard about it, were sending text messages, and that was really neat and really special. So Tim tells me that the next time that Notre Dame comes to Death Valley, that Savannah will be 8 years old. And I told Tim that I hope I'm still here then, whenever she's 8 years old. So
you got to learn to drop her off with your parents.
Yes, that's exactly right. So we've definitely got my mom and dad are lined up, ready to help with any help we need.
Jeff, I wanted to ask.
Yep.
It's been about a month since Mike's injury. How's his progress going? How's his recovery going?
Yeah, Mike's doing well, and I know he's going each week. He's going to Greenville to kind of get checked out. And I think the fortunate thing for Mike, and I'm definitely no medical scholar, but the fortunate thing for him was, that the fracture was not on, any of the spinal cord, and it was just on the side. And so he's just got to give that time to heal, and we'll continue to get feedback on that. And I know Coach Sweeney and the medical staff, are not going to take any chances with that. And so, our mentality as an offense, you can't sit here and say, hey, when are we going to get him back? Our mentality as an offense is we're going to move on, and we feel like we've got plenty of guys that can go and play and make plays. But overall, I'm really pleased. Mike's out there at practice every day. When he was out there in the rain with his rain jacket on, cheering on the guys. And so, the most important thing is for him to heal up, and then at the very least be able to come back next year and have a great year. And that's really kind of, I think, probably what he's focused on right now.
Jeff, I wanted to ask you something too about this year with the ACC having that medical observer in the booth. Has it impacted you guys at all that you even know about, and is it just comforting, I guess, maybe to know that there's another pair of eyes out there watching?
Yeah, I know in the preseason there was a lot of talk. A lot of our coaches didn't know about it until we had our hideaway meetings, and then you kind of got to hear what each conference was doing and a little bit different. So far there hasn't been anything during a game that I'm aware of. I do think it's probably pretty good to have somebody upstairs, just like you have coaches upstairs that are looking for things because they can see things upstairs that maybe the coaches on the field can't see. It probably makes sense from a medical perspective to have somebody upstairs that can watch some things, but it hasn't been an issue for us so far.
All right.
All right,
Coach,
good to go. Appreciate it. Thank you all.